Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. So, the reason why I'm doing this episode, and it's kind of like it's an improvisation, I've not prepared anything for this episode. All I've got is my thoughts and memories over the last weekend. This episode, I'm going to talk about the 10K run I did with my sister and why it was very meaningful, the experience, why I think you should consider doing a running event one time in your life and so on. And I just thought, you know what, it's a good opportunity to do it this week. I look because obviously with myself, I am so dyslexic and I love being prepared with stuff. And it's from obviously growing up with primary school, high school, it's something for myself being with my challenges, preparation is must number one. But you know what? I'm challenging myself to just go with thoughts, memories, my head, and just kind of freeball it and improvise. So expect some mumbling. I'm only joking, but it was I've got my water this time as well. Last episode, I had no water and I felt it badly. So gladly I got water. So remember, you can watch these episodes on YouTube and Spotify. So if you like just listening and you're walking, definitely listen to a Spotify playlist, a podcast. But if you actually want to see me visually, I'm currently waving at the camera, you can go to YouTube so you can see my hand gestures and so on. So that's good. So let's start from basics. And let's start from years ago. If you know my story, I grew up running a lot many years ago. It's the first thing I did active wise. Loved running. Really helped me with stress at school and so on. And it was my de-stress, which is used for a lot of people right now, and I still use it for now because it's really good. And I did some 10Ks and so on. Did literally the exactly same race I did last weekend, but many years ago. What 6 years ago, and I love doing them annually. And we did them for the Friendship Circle, which is a charity. We did that, a very close charity to my heart and close to my sister, which I can talk about my sister very soon, and so on. And I did some half marathons in the past and led me to doing the London Marathon. I've always been a big runner, but ever since the London Marathon, I've kind of taken a big break from all these events and so on. Obviously, I preferred doing strength training and preferred doing other exercises. I didn't really, I enjoyed running, I did it, but I didn't do it as much as I used to. Nothing against running, just preferences, and that's very normal. If you don't enjoy something anymore, then maybe it's time to switch it up. And so, obviously, myself and brothers and family members have been doing this for the Friendship Circle, and then it was like a few months ago, Hannah mentioned to my mum that she wanted to do the 10K. Someone in the Friendship Circle mentioned it to her. And I've always mentioned the last 5 years or so, I was like, I'd love to push Hannah. I would love to push Hannah on a 10K. And it would be after the marathon, I was like, that's the next thing I want to do. And I completely forgot about it. And I was like, this is such a lovely opportunity that I really want to do. And we did it. So obviously Hannah's training was walking down the roads and stuff. I currently pointed to the road. So if you're say on YouTube, that would make a lot more sense. And then she was training, but of course the point was when I'm going to talk about Hannah. So if you don't know about my sister Hannah, Hannah has Down syndrome. She has mobility challenges, so she's in a wheelchair most of the time. She can walk, but she'll get tired, and she wouldn't be able to walk at the same pace as maybe me and you listening. It's very slow, but she can do it. She can walk down the road. Just takes a bit longer for her because she did the one, she needs more support and so on. So, and this was another challenge for her because she was sitting in the chair for a long time and she normally does as well. And if I'm running, pushing, you're gonna be moving around in the chair like a bit like a F1 driver, like you know how you're moving around. It's quite exhausting, that even movement, because you're moving your body. I'm obviously putting my coaching head on here. You're moving the body more. So it was you tell after Hannah was very tired. But so that's a bit about Hannah. And then obviously the charity run for Friendship Circle, which is an amazing charity in Manchester, giving amazing opportunities for people with learning disabilities and so on, providing amazing opportunities, which we've raised money for, and we're very thankful for all the support Esty and the Friendship Circle do. So little shout out to Friendship Circle Manchester. So that's a bit about Hannah. And then so the day came and we prepared ourselves. My father was doing the half marathon in the morning, so we did the half marathon. Hannah came to, we went to the end to see my dad finished, and Hannah was all supportive, cheering my dad on, lovely hugs afterwards. And then it was Hannah's and my turn. So we met up with everyone who was doing part of the friendship circle. And the fun part is when we were queuing up and everything, it was very cute. Hannah was warming up in a wheelchair and she was stretching. It was very, very sweet to see and everything. But once we started, and once we literally about to get to the line, we got a call from the BBC. Sounds pretty professional. We got a call from the BBC, and it was basically a presenter who was like it was a presenter, but also the person who organizes the interviews. And he was like, do you want to have a little chat with Jess Ennis? So I obviously knew Jess Ennis from, I don't know Jess Ennis, I obviously know her from TV, I don't know her personally, but I went straight to her and I said, oh, Hannah was a games maker at the 2012 Olympics, which was around 10 years ago, 10 years this summer. And obviously it was the top of my head because Hannah was a great, and then Hannah and Jess, I don't know if they shook hands, but they just had like a nice little welcome greeting, hi. And Jess was like, oh, that's really, really cool, and so on. So we had a little interview, as you can see it on my Instagram. So if you haven't seen it, check out my Instagram. And that's really, really lovely to see. It's like a few minutes talking about Esty spoke as a friendship circle, and then I spoke. This is the amazing part. So Jess asked Esty a question, and then she asked Hannah a question saying, oh, Hannah, you were a 2012 games maker at the Olympics and so on. And obviously, and it's lovely because Jess asked Hannah like any other person. So even though Hannah isn't verbal, she still expressed herself and was so happy when she asked her a question. And you can see that in the interview that it's just very, very lovely to see that Jess actually asked Hannah, put the microphone in Hannah's near Hannah's mouth and so on. But I obviously wanted to talk and so on because it was live on the BBC. And I basically said, yeah, Hannah was the games maker with mum and dad and brothers and so on. And I mentioned that this year, a lot of the last few years, we've been doing the 10Ks and marathons for this charity, but this year Hannah wanted to do it, and this is Hannah's time. So it was a quick, short interview, but it was like I got a photo with her, and it was a very I felt a bit like a kid again, got very, very excited, and it hit the start to very lovely, very, very nice. So, and then we continued, and then we did the 10K. We walked a bit, we ran a bit. My favorite part personally was obviously as cleaners and everything, and with water bottles, it's very common when you're doing a running race to get a water bottle and throw it. But obviously there's a bin and there's a target on the bin where it's a bit of fun because obviously you're running, but you try and be as close together. So it's because there's people, their job that day is to kind of clean up the bins, the water bottles. So you want to be as close. So I was like, this is an amazing opportunity. I got Hannah to get to the water bottle, pick up the water bottle. And I also got Hannah to throw the water bottle. And it was very, very sweet because everyone was doing it. And I was like, you know what, Hannah, you do it. So I gave Hannah the water bottle and she threw it. Didn't hit the bin target, but it was very close, but a lot better than other throwers. So very, very impressive, Hannah. So that was very enjoyable. The amazing part of this and most special part for me was just everyone in the crowd, the support that everyone gave Hannah. Honestly, like when we were, obviously I was pushing Hannah and we ran a bit, walked a bit, but everyone was cheering for Hannah. I mean, obviously cheering for every single person, but Hannah was waving to everyone was waving back, go on Hannah. And it was just lovely to see because Hannah really enjoyed it, but also I think it gave a lot of other people as well that inspiration as well. And I think even though Hannah loved the attention, of course, but I think actually it was a two-way thing that actually it brought so much love for Hannah, but also I think it brought so much love to the person supporting them because they saw someone else pushing their barriers, even though they may have challenges. We all have challenges, but it's showing that you can do it. And also it's been a lovely opportunity for Hannah to have this opportunity. So it's just a very inspirational thing. And I think I said my favorite part like 30 times already in this podcast, but especially in the end. So we walked the last 20, 30 meters together, but beforehand, the last 200 meters, I was running to the end. I was like, because there's a little crowd and everyone was cheering Hannah. Hannah's hands were in the air. And it was very, very, very special moment. Like really, really nice just to think about, a memory I will remember forever. Just so lovely. I think Hannah loved it. She was exhausted afterwards, so I could tell, even though I was obviously pushing a chair, I could tell she had a massive smile on her face and she was so happy. and I'm hoping that everyone else is very happy to see it as well. So yeah, the last 20, 30 meters, Hannah got out the chair and she walked really, really well. I'll be honest, I know my sister obviously growing up, but I was super impressed with her walking and how well she walked with the last 30 meters. And she was waving, she was doing the Mobots. If you don't know Mo Farah, Hannah loves seeing Mo Farah on the TV in the Olympics. And like when Mo did that, the Mobot with James Corden when they created it, Hannah did that. But the only challenge was I was holding Hannah's left hand, so she was doing it with the right hand. So so technically it was like a half Mobot, but if people see that, you can tell that she's trying to do the Mobot, which is very, very sweet. And then we finished, and it was lovely hugs and congrats Hannah and so on. And she got her top and so on. So it was a really lovely experience and something that I'll remember forever. And hopefully next year, if Hannah wants to do it, she can do it again, and maybe walk a bit further, or maybe she can push me in the chair for a bit. That'd be lovely. But good. But the principle of this, it wasn't for me. Obviously, I'm a fitness coach. I train, I run a lot. Yes, it was a challenge, a different type of challenge, but it was more of a challenge. It was for Hannah, and I did this for Hannah. Like it was a good challenge. I was honestly exhausted afterwards. But for me, this was from helping Hannah's point of view, and obviously I saw the amazing benefits I saw. And again, it was a challenge as well. So it was actually a good workout, to be fair. But I obviously putting my coaching head on when I talk about from a physical point of view, and actually pushing the chair and so on. So it was really interesting to think about it from that perspective. So to you, as the listener of this, like why I think running events, doing a running event in your lifetime is actually really special. And one thing I want to talk about, and this is from obviously the experience, talk about the experience, but this is now from a coaching point of view. Running an event isn't just for weight loss. Like a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with this, will start running because they want to lose weight. And that makes perfect sense because it's a good form of exercise. If you enjoy it, amazing. If you can stay consistent, amazing. If you're in your calorie deficit, amazing, unbelievable, spot on. But just doing, there's not a but. There's no problem with running with weight loss. Like if you calorie deficit, as I said, but I've lost my thoughts. Yes, I know what I'm saying. Even though for a lot of people, they're wanting to lose weight on this running, that day, that running event, when you're leading up to it, all the skills you've learned from training and so on, all the mobility maybe, or the strength training you've been doing for this running event and so on that day, you kind of forget about everything and you enjoy the moment for itself. You enjoy the celebration. You enjoy everyone cheering on you. You enjoy that you're achieving something. You're celebrating your own achievement, and you forget about maybe the weight goal or the calorie goal or how all those goals kind of go out the window, and you focus on actually how far you've come in your first however long you trained. From a goal perspective, maybe a few months ago you couldn't even run 1k, or maybe you couldn't even walk 1k, and now you're doing a 10k and so you're celebrating it. And that's the important part. That's the amazing part, that you're celebrating your own success. And for that day itself, you forget about all the metrics and you forget about the things, and actually it's just a day to celebrate how far you've come, even though there may not be all the goals that you want to achieve, but actually celebrating these little wins. And that's the main important part. And that another reason why I run an event is because it's the whole journey. Like sometimes with weight loss, with muscle gain, with all these things, there's always the next step. There's always like, well, we've got to this goal now, and then you can get to the next goal. And there's always these next things. And the same with running. But with this there's a date set. Like there's on the 22nd of May, you're going to be, that was a date, you're going to be doing the 10k. And then after that, maybe you can find another goal, or actually you may want to do a half marathon, but there's a realistic set goal, there's a date set, and now you can work towards it. So now you've got to plan towards it, then you've got to focus on recovery, then you've got to focus on food, and all these things are skills which you're going to build for the next goal you have. And that's one of the other reasons why doing some sort of running event is really important, not just from the health perspective, actually just a good skill perspective. And I think that's really helped me now with when I did the half marathons, events, when I now utilize my training, my gym, I'm using skills in the things I learned from this and implementing it into my training today. And that's a really important part. I know something else I was just when I was mentioning that, something else on my head, top of my head, and now I completely forgot. But I really enjoyed it. It was really, really nice. I'm just trying to think of that last point that I had in my head because it was really, really good. I'm gonna have a bit of water and then hopefully it'll come back to me. Running. Was it anything about weight loss? No. I can't remember what it was about running and so on. Yeah, the funny thing is I'm gonna remember it straight off. That's why preparation is really important for me because I completely forgot now. That's why, yeah. So I was gonna say, straight off this podcast, I'm going to remember this point. I'm like, I should have mentioned it. But the point of this video is, got it now. And it's more of it's really, for me, it's interesting, but actually it's important for you because a lot of people, the reason why they don't run is it's bad for your knees, it's very high impact. And these things, anything too bad, anything too much, and anything too much, anything too much is bad for you. Like too much squatting, too much gymming, too much HIIT workouts, too much walking, too much running. They're going to be bad for your knees. They're going to be a lot of impact. So when it's really important when you run is actually to be, obviously it's very easy to get the running bug, is to take those rests, to incorporate strength training, to incorporate mobility, just like you do with anything else, because that's going to help you with your effectivity and your productivity with your run. So that's really important thing to understand. Actually, well, one, you don't have to be a runner to complete this. You are a runner, whoever you are, when you if you're doing a 10K, but you don't have to be like training for years and years. You could do a few months, and you may want to do it just for the experience. And I really think it helped me with my journey doing the 10Ks, half marathons. Really helped me with learning so much more about health and fitness. Made some mistakes on that journey. Just really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Obviously, as a coach, I don't want to just give you experience, I want to teach you as well. So that's where it's really important. The things I mentioned, you implement as well into your own journey. So yeah, what an amazing weekend it was. And it was the first event since my marathon. So it was a big difference. London Marathon to Manchester 10K, but both challenging in their own ways, both very emotional in their own ways. And 5 years since, so it was the first 5 years. That was my event since my last event, which was very nice. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts I think you can. Yeah, I'm sure you can. Anyway, if you're not, leave a message with how you found it and so on. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward for you to listen to me in the next episode.